Hello and welcome to the Colorado Health Foundation's Available Funding webinar. My name is Amy Latham and I'm the Vice President of Philanthropy here at the Foundation. Today I'll be providing an introduction to the Colorado Health Foundation and then go on to share some general information about our grant making ahead of the upcoming grant deadline. This will include an overview of the eligibility requirements of our grants, our guidelines for ensuring funding diversity, and a breakdown of our various funding types. Finally, we'll wrap up with some resources for how best to stay connected with us. First, I'd like to start by sharing a little bit about the Foundation and what informs and drives our work. Here at the Foundation, our mission is to improve the health of Coloradans. We work towards our mission by being singularly focused on helping Coloradans live their healthiest lives by advancing opportunities to pursue good health and achieve health equity. We work through grant making, policy advocacy, strategic private investments, and convening, all to drive change. We provide nearly $100 million in grants and investments annually to meet the health needs of communities throughout all of Colorado's 64 counties. Although we have significant resources, I should say that the demand for funding always exceeds our available resources. So typically at each grant deadline, funding is highly competitive. At the Foundation, we have three cornerstones upon which our work is based and what we look for in the work of our partners. First, we serve Coloradans who have low incomes and have historically had less power or privilege. Second, we are informed by the community and those we exist to serve. And finally, everything that we do is with the intent of creating health equity. Our organizational strategy is designed with equity at the heart of our work. Why? Because lack of opportunity, poverty, racism, these are all key drivers of health challenges experienced by Coloradans, their families, and communities across the state. Because of this, it is essential that every step we take creates fair opportunities for those for whom health is furthest from reach. We believe that health equity exists when there are no unnecessary, avoidable, unfair, unjust, or systemically caused differences in health status. Our organizational strategy is designed to bring health and reach for all Coloradans by strengthening bodies, minds, and communities in the fight against unfair and avoidable differences in health. Our work is divided into four focus areas: maintaining healthy bodies, nurturing healthy minds, strengthening community health, and championing health equity. We also fund cross-cutting efforts that address multiple focus areas at once. We generally make grants to two types of organizations: Colorado organizations classified as tax exempt under Section 501c3 of the Federal Tax Code, and Colorado public agencies, including state and local governments. Please note that if a public support test requirement to retain public charity status applies to your organization, as a public charity grantee of the Colorado Health Foundation, it's really essential that you ensure that the grant your organization receives will not cause it to lose its status as a publicly supported charity. We encourage you to contact a tax advisor if you have any questions about your status. Just a few words about what we don't fund through grant making. The Foundation does not award grants to organizations that willfully discriminate against a particular class of individuals. To be eligible for funding, organizations must abide by all applicable local, state, and federal anti-discrimination laws in hiring, employment practices, and service provision. Generally, the Foundation does not make grants to or for the following: individuals, programs that require membership in a certain religion or advance a particular religious faith, for-profit organizations or programs operated by or for the benefit of for-profit organizations, debt retirement, fundraising events, or endowments. The Foundation's intent is to encourage a diverse funding base in order to strengthen the financial health and sustainability of nonprofit organizations that we fund. In 2015, we established guidelines to ensure that an organization is not excessively dependent on Foundation funding. In general, we work to ensure that the annual grant disbursement from the Foundation does not exceed 25% of an organization's total annual expense budget. For those organizations receiving more than one grant from the Foundation, the guideline is 30% of the annual expense budget. These thresholds are considered when grant proposals are reviewed, understanding that at times the Foundation may decide to go above these guidelines. In these instances, Foundation staff will work with the organization to ensure that future diversified funding sources are being considered and planned for by the organization. For fiscal partnerships, this guideline does not apply to the fiscal sponsor, but to the sponsored organization. Foundation makes grants through our funding opportunities, responsive grants program, and rapid response funding. Our grant funding is designed to offer flexibility to applicants seeking funding to support the work of their organization. Our funding opportunities focus on specific needs aligned with a particular priority within our focus areas. These opportunities vary for each funding deadline. Applicants will be asked to address detailed criteria specific to that funding opportunity. Grant funding is highly competitive within the pool of applicants for each individual funding opportunity. Our responsive grants program is for your best ideas that offer up new approaches and innovative ideas that you believe will help improve challenges faced in the community you serve. Criteria for the program objectives are intentionally broad so you can share promising ideas that are right for your community. Grant funding is highly competitive within the pool of applicants who apply for responsive grants within a funding cycle. At each funding deadline, we will identify specific objectives for our responsive grants program. These may change from deadline to deadline. Finally, our rapid response funding supports short-term advocacy initiatives. There is no deadline for rapid response grants. We accept these applications on a rolling basis. With the exception of our rapid response funding, the Foundation has 3 application deadlines each year: February 15th, June 15th, and October 15th. Applications must be submitted by 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the day of the deadline. When the deadline falls on a weekend or holiday, please submit your application by 5 p.m. on the next business day. It's really important to us that we have a variety of ways to stay informed about your work and that we have ways of staying connected with what's happening in your communities and the work of your organizations. We encourage you to connect with our program staff with any questions about available funding and to talk through your proposed projects or programs before you apply for a grant. You can reach a program officer by emailing funding@coloradohealth.org. We will then connect you with the program officer who works in your geographic area. Please be sure to note which Colorado County you work in and your funding priority of interest in your message. I also strongly encourage you to join our mailing list to receive emails when funding opportunities open, as well as for other important updates. And of course, please follow us on our social media channels. This concludes today's webinar. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. You can see my contact information right there on the screen, or it's also available on our website with any questions about what we covered today. Thank you so much for joining us as we work to bring health in reach for all Coloradans.